Akira wakes up. Banjo greets her, but she's unsure as to who he is. Kaneki visits Akira and reassures her that he's still the same person. However, she's unsure, since he went against Kishio. According to intel, Akira has been dismissed by the CCG and placed on the Ghoul countermeasure violators list. Hirako states that Hinami may be able to help Akira, but she still bears a grudge against her, since Akira's father killed her mother. Amon gets coffee from Toka. Amon states he's unsure as to what to say to Akira, since he left without saying a word. Though Toka killed Mado, Amon bears no ill will towards her, and it's because the world forced them into those situations, and not because they're inherently bad people. Toka then implores Amon to go see Akira. At the CCG, Yuri heads up S2 squad, Kori is the deputy bureau chief, Juzo leads S3 squad, and Mogen heads up S1 squad. With Matsuri gone and no other Washu to take command, Furuta became the de facto bureau chief. Furuta introduces the Ogai, the newly formed Q squad. Furuta then brings out what looks to be Heisei Sasaki. Do you call yourself the One-Eyed King and the leader of the clowns? Heisei admits to leading them, so their heads are all cut off, in the name of peace. Furuta wishes to eradicate all the ghouls from Tokyo. Let's party! Kori looks on in horror, realizing that the CCG is finished. The CCG announces that Heisei is dead. Sato mocks Kaneki by stating he's staring at a ghost. Kaneki thanks Sato for saving Amon. Sato then tosses Amon's cross necklace at Kaneki, but Kaneki says he can't accept this. Takizawa, you'll die if you're not chained down. Akira wakes up as Amon shows up with her pet cat. Amon tries to apologize, but Akira doesn't need one. She's just confused right now. Amon takes his leave, as Akira doesn't know how to act around him. Amon confronts Kaneki on the roof. After Amon escaped the Aogiri tree, he went into hiding and even taught himself how to use his Kagune. With Furuta cracking down harder than ever before, Kaneki will fight for the ghouls. Amon will do what he believes is right, stating that this world is wrong. Kaneki states that he'd be afraid to lose a friend again if he had previously lost them. Ghoul investigators sniff out and kill a mother and child ghoul. Furuta claims he's created 100 Kanekis. Toka wants Akira to take a walk with her. Toka admits to killing Akira's father. Now Akira can hate Toka without reservation. Akira notices some kids who are ghouls. Without their families and the Aogiri tree, they've got nothing. Hinami then arrives. Akira deduces that her father took the lives of all their parents. Akira states her father never did anything wrong, and that she's proud of him. Toka then wonders if Akira's father never pursued ghouls. She then mentions her own father's egregious actions. She's not proud of what he did, and would condone his actions if she could. Toka then claims that Hinami never resented Mado. Hinami gives Akira a hug. The past investigator then wonders, who was I supposed to hate? Akira tells Kaneki she never moved forward from her father's death. She henceforth clung to her job. Kaneki is no longer Heisei to her. She thusly punches him in the gut and tells him goodbye. I'll miss you, says Kaneki. I'll miss you too, replies Akira. Akira tells Amon she feels no hostility towards the ghouls. She wonders where she'll go from here. Amon tells her to embrace emptiness, as it will tell her how to live. I'll be by your side, says Amon. The two, supposedly, then kiss. Juzo suspects that Heisei isn't really dead, and that it was No-Face impersonating him. Yuri suspects that Furuta is a liar. Furuta takes Kori to Dr. Kano. Kori is angered that Kano, someone who previously worked with the Aogiri tree, is now amongst their ranks. Furuta takes out Ihei's head and taunts Kori by saying he can bring her back to life. Takomi wants Toru to find Toka so they can invite her to their wedding. Toka dyes her hair and then says, "Are you a virgin?" Kaneki awkwardly dodges the question. Toka says she let him have intercourse if he really wanted to. She then wonders why Kaneki doesn't take her on missions. Kaneki worries, however, that her lone wolf approach might get her killed one day. When Kaneki was Heisei, he stared at Toka while in the coffee shop. Shu then slams the door open, stating they have a big problem. Furuta stands on top of a hill of ghoul corpses, claiming he'll eradicate all ghouls. Kaneki orders everyone out of their hideouts. They'll stay on the move at all times and split up into squads. Kaneki looks to lock up, but then Toru barges in. She begs for Kaneki to come back, but he can't do that. Yuri goes up to Toru's room, finding multiple pictures of Toka stabbed with a knife. Toru claims that ghouls were more important to Heisei than his fellow investigators. Toru rigged his Quinque with RC suppressant to prevent Kaneki from using his Kagune. Ora's nephew then stabs Kaneki from behind. Ora's nephew is a second-year Quinx. Toka and Toru begin trading blows. Toka impales Toru. Toru then holds up Yukira's photo, along with a hand that has an engagement ring on it. Toka kicks Toru across the face, claiming she's never heard of Yukira. Ora's nephew and Kaneki go at it. Kaneki impales him with his Kagune, since the RC suppressant hasn't taken effect yet. The Ogai arrive on bicycles and smash into the coffee shop. Toka and Kaneki escape. Toru screams that she's gonna kill them both. Grave Robber then asks Sato what destroys civilizations. She says that the act of discovery leads to destruction. As an aside, the kanji for Ogai looks like two characters for death, mirroring each other. Juzo declines an invitation to speak to Furuta. Juzo talks about peace with Yuri, wondering that if humans or ghouls would hypothetically disappear, if it would achieve those ends. Kaneki never thought about Hide, since he would have been consumed by seeing him again. Toka then gets on top of Kaneki and begins to kiss him. Takomi and Yoriko get married. Yuri and Toru strike up a conversation. Yuri wasn't planning on coming to the ceremony, but when he heard Toru would be here, he decided to come. Toru states he went to the cafe and met Heisei there. Toru wants to stop him and bring him back to the house, where they all used to live together. Toru admits his love for investigator Heisei Sasaki, and doesn't care about the potential consequences. Shin-senpai visits Aunt Ora in the hospital. Ora lost her legs, and her nephew promises to bring Heisei back as a Quinque. Kori meets up with Okahira, who died during the Rose extermination. Kori suspects he's alive due to Dr. Kano. Okahira needs to take his medicine, or he'll die again. Toka watched Yoriko's wedding from afar. She hands Kaneki a ring with her parents' names engraved upon it. An Ogai member kills a man at a restaurant, claiming he's a ghoul. Similar events happen across the 23 wards. As Furuta states, things are more peaceful now. Naki saves a ghoul named Ko from the CCG investigators. Naki invites Ko to the goat's hideout. Ko is brought to Shu, who takes him to his new living quarters. Shu tells Ko they're preparing for a revolution. Just then, their king returns. Everyone looks on in awe as the king jumps onto a crane. Various ghouls toss down Quinques. As Kaneki states, they've disarmed nearly 1,000 doves. I will not stop until you can return to the surface. Shu reminds Kaneki they'll starve to death soon, and the doves plan on burying them inside their dwelling. Kaneki has a strict no-kill policy, since he wants to ensure a safe future for all ghouls. Toka hangs out with orphan ghouls from the Aogiri tree. Nishiki talks about how tough it is to find suicide victims for sustenance, because of the CCG's efforts. Nishiki recounts a tale about a one-eyed ghoul leading the ghouls to prosperity after the destruction of World War II. The CCG mounted a comeback, driving the ghouls underground. The One-Eyed King henceforth built an underground community in the 24th Ward, waiting for an opportunity to strike back. Nishiki hands Toka a small bag. The 100-year battle between the CCG and the ghouls is nearing its end. Hamba urges Juzo not to push himself, but Juzo claims he'll become a ghoul if it will end the battle. Juzo is still hoping that Shinohara will recuperate. In Furuta's office, the clowns hold a secret meeting. Itari relishes the opportunity of watching the ghouls be wiped out. Furuta enters the room, claiming he needs a new nemesis, the ultimate enemy, to put an end to this meaningless war. And this person will receive the family name to boot. We will call him Ryu. Ayato's group enters the 24th Ward. Toka takes a bite from the burger that Nishiki gave her. Furuta then reminds Tokomi about Ghoul Countermeasure Law, Article 88, Clause 1. Those who give and/or safe harbor to ghouls will be subject to severe punishment. Shu attacks Ko, and the boy reveals his Kakugan eye. Ko releases his Kagune, but is quickly surrounded by the ghouls. Ko is an Ogai and is here to kill someone. Ko's real name is Hajime. He was orphaned by ghouls and trained by the CCG. They hand Kaneki a letter that Hajime wanted to give him. It states that Yokira is being detained for violating CCG law. Toru wrote the letter and plans on helping Kaneki, provided he meets up with him at the chateau. It's a trap, says Kaneki, as he burns the letter. Furuta informs Aiwa that his son is in custody for assaulting an investigator. Yuri visits Tokomi, hearing the news that he struck Toru. Due to his wife's involvement with Toka, she's going to be killed. Nishiki states that the CCG is focusing their efforts on the king. Kaneki wants to take on their head. Nishiki mentions that Kaneki's got a kid on the way, so the one-eyed king rushes over to Toka. After getting nowhere when he questions her, he finds a calendar with a potential due date on it. Toka's midsection begins to throb as Yokiro thinks of Toka in her cell. Toru anticipates that Heisei will come to him, and when he does, he's finished. Toka finds a note in Kaneki's cell. It states that Yoriko is sentenced to death. Toka reads a picture book to the orphan ghouls. Kaneki visits Hajime in his cell, which excites the Ogai. Kaneki verifies that Toru's letter was indeed real, and determines how he'll save Yoriko. Nishiki explains to Kaneki that he's aging at an incredible rate. This is due to the fact that he's half ghoul, half human. To stop the aging, Kaneki could start consuming RC cells. In other words, cannibalize. Ayato is attacked in the 24th ward. He questions the ghouls what happened, and one explains that it was Nagaraji. Kaneki's condition is worsening due to the accelerated aging. He wants to save Yuriko, but then Toka admits to being pregnant.
You are not!
Kaneki wants to get married. The two then leave permanent bite marks on each other, signifying their oneness with each other. The goat seems to have found a solution to their food problems. The CCG is planning on a big execution, as Kaneki wonders what he can do to not lose anyone. Kaneki then awkwardly announces that him and Toka are getting married. Saiko doesn't want to see Yoriko die, but Yuri says nothing can be done. Saiko doesn't want to be a part of the organization that kills people. Yuri agrees that the CCG has gone astray, and suggests that they become terrorists. Meanwhile, Kaneki and Toka have a ghoul wedding. The goat sends out a scavenging squad to recover food for the next 6 months. Hajime then sticks out his tongue, revealing that he has a tracking chip inside. Yuri determines that the Washu family is too powerful. With the help of Aiwa, Yuri plans on a coup d'etat. Aiwa states that Tokomi, his son, looked up to Yuri. Aiwa is also reminded of Yuri's father while in Yuri's presence. The CCG investigators want to prove the integrity of Furuta's spirit. Meanwhile, the scavenging squad nears its checkpoint. Hajime kills the ghouls who are keeping guard. Hajime's parents refused to offer ghouls surgical waste at the hospital that they worked at, so they were killed. Toka then notices a group of Ogai, telling the children they need to hide. Furuta reminds the investigators that they need a witness for their plan to work. Shikore and Roma appear from behind the desk, in a menacing fashion. Aiwa and Yuri prepare themselves for battle. The two take the upper hand, with Yuri stabbing Roma in the head with his Kagune. Aiwa chokes out Shikore in the meantime. "You haven't beaten her yet." Yuri is then impaled multiple times. Toka urges everyone to get to the 20th Ward tunnel. Kaneki gets a bad feeling when he's foraging for food. He almost saves a child from the Ogai, as the white suits jump into action. Toru then arrives. Toka immediately recognizes him. Toru commands the dead Ogai to get up, which they do whilst hurting themselves. The Ogai then release their frames. Roma's parents have been gone as long as she can remembers. She wanted nothing more than to kill humans in the most brutal fashion possible. Hence, she formed the clowns. The doves don't know I'm the founder. Not even the clowns know whose garden they play in. A flashback of the second Cochlea raid is shown, with Tatara offering a deal to Roma to join the Aogiri tree. Roma declines, however. Tatara attacks, but accidentally releases her from her cell. Roma visits Uda afterwards and gets a haircut. She also finds out about Kaneki and Anteku. Uda proclaims the clowns have a new face. Uda then tells Roma that the clowns have a new face, a man who previously worked with the CCG. "This world is a circus. Everything is just meaningless fun," claims Roma. She enters her Kakuya form, which is called Daji Mother. Iowa aims to defend the defenseless Yuri. Toru commands the Ogai to eradicate the ghouls and focus their efforts on Toka. Yomo urges Toka to escape since she has something to protect. Toka and the ghouls then run away. However, Hajime is waiting for them, and he proclaims that this is a dead end. Hinami is pushed back by Hajime's Kagune. Hajime refers to Hirako as Judas. A hooded figure then attacks Hirako from the side. Iowa knocks down Shikore, but Roma retaliates and returns the favor. Yuri lies motionless, remembering the last moments he saw Shirazu. Maybe if Shirazu was still alive, everything would be alright. Roma pulls Iowa's arm as Yuri headbutts Shikore. He cuts off Shikore's arm and rushes towards Roma. The girl smashes him like a bug and eats him whole. Not long afterwards, Yuri frames out and bursts out of Roma's Kakuya. Shikore and Roma combine their efforts, but Yuri unveils his shield Kagune. Shikore is knocked back and Roma is decapitated. Goodbye. Iowa apologizes for the death of Yuri's father. "No, it wasn't your fault," screams Yuri. To cope with the pain, Yuri blamed others for his father's death, but he's past that now. Furuta impales Iowa's neck, killing him instantly. "Furuta! You should die," replies Furuta. Just then, a bullet goes through the chairman's head. Furuta leans back, but pulls the bullet out as if nothing happened. The shot came from Muruta's group as he tells his men to open fire. Furuta looks to be done, but then he retaliates with his Kagune. The group shoots armor-piercing RC rounds at Furuta, but the chairman jumps out the window. Matsuri follows suit with a katana in his mouth. Furuta knocks him back with his Kagune and escapes. Muruta holds Iowa in his arms, with Yuri looking for explanations for what just happened. Matsuri greets Yuri. Muruta then asks what they should do with Mr. Terrorist, i.e. Yuri. A mysterious man holds up a sign saying that he needs Yuri's help, and it turns out to be Hide. Meanwhile, Toru is impressed by Yoma's abilities. Ora uses a bluff attack to lure Toru into a trap. Toru evades it and thinks of Heisei with contradictory emotions. "I've come for you, instructor!" Wait, that's not right. Meanwhile, Hirako's Zero Squad battles with Hajime. The squad struggles. Hirako instructs them to fight Hajime as if he's a ghoul. During their escape, Toka is pierced with a dagger. The ghouls who are still foraging for food, including Kaneki, Shu, and Banjo, are unaware of the attack on their hideout. Furuta ordered S3 squad in the Ogai to commence Operation Goat Sweep. Despite the fight in his office just 6 hours prior, Furuta arrived on time to lead the S3 Juzo squad. Elsewhere, Kaneki and Shu mull over their choice not to attend the April 23rd execution ceremony. Furuta could use this opportunity to... Shu questions the king's resolve. Kaneki remains steadfast, understanding that he can't let his people starve. The white suits fight with the Ogai. They remark that humans are acting like ghouls. Misa reports that the ghouls in the 24th ward have escaped. Naki and Misa continue fighting to buy them more time. Naki slicks his hair back with blood, realizing that dying is nothing to be sad about, as he'll get to see Yamori once again. Yomo is covered in blades by Toru. Despite his best efforts, Yomo falls down due to pain and exhaustion. Toru, however, gets ensnared in Yomo's range, giving her quite the shock in the process. Ora's nephew loses it, but Yomo easily crushes his neck with his bare hands. Meanwhile, Hinami blocks the exits from the Ogai. Furuta announces it's time for the Reaper as Juzo steps forward. Toka dodges Hanbei's attacks. Juzo moves like lightning to gash into Hinami. Elsewhere, Uda, with a different face, warns Yomo that if he goes any further, he'll lose his life. Toka confronts Juzo. "Have we met before?" asks Juzo. They engage with each other, with Hinami flying in with her Kagune. She unleashes a devilish Kagune, knocking out several investigators. "Go, Toka! You have to protect the children!" Toka blames herself for what happened to Kaneki and Hinami. Juzo slices off Hinami's left foot. Hinami's wish is for Toka to live. She thinks about Kaneki as Juzo lunges in for the final blow, until a Kagune appears from nowhere. Kaneki mulls over his life's choices, realizing that one choice can drastically alter your path. It wasn't supposed to be like this, thinks Kaneki. Kaneki finds Naki dead. Misa tells him that the escaping ghouls are heading toward E14. Kaneki rushes over to said location. In a flashback, Furuta informs Juzo about the covert operation that only the best investigators will participate in. The purpose of Koryoji is complete eradication of the enemy forces. Furuta reminds Juzo that the CCG's yearly expenses are exorbitant and rising. Because treatment facilities are financed through the same budget, they need to end things quickly if people like Shinohara ever hope to receive the treatment that they need to survive. In the now, Kaneki stares down at Juzo. The two engage in an epic flurry of attacks. Kaneki urges Hinami to escape, and that he'll be right behind her. Juzo and Hanbei activate their errata armors. While Kaneki enters his Kaguya form. Kaneki has lived for this day. Unfortunately, he's then seen on the ground, limbless and defeated. You lost, Kaneki. Furuta had Route E14 blocked. Furuta anticipated Kaneki's every move. Hajime then drops the head of Ihei and Sozu next to Kaneki. Furuta tells Hajime to treat Kaneki with respect, as this is finally game over. Toka's squad is then halted by the Ogai. We then see a hypothetical scene where Juzo is impaled by Haisei's Kagune. I killed him. We then see all the past iterations of Kaneki surrounding his limbless body. They squabble over his past decisions, wondering where they went wrong. Stop talking about what ifs. Face reality, you punk. Am I not gonna see Toka again? A million thoughts race through Kaneki's mind. I won't back away. I'm moving forward, like a centipede. Kaneki bites into the face of Hajime and impales him with his Kagune. Kaneki slaughters the Ogai, thinking of Toka the entire time. Just then, a monstrous, centipede-like Kaneki emerges to the Ogai's horror. Eat up, baby, says Furuta. Kaneki smacks Furuta with his Kagune. I win, my sweet, sweet dragon. Kaneki's monstrous Kagune then pervades the entire city of Tokyo. Assault helicopters attack Kaneki's dragon form. Tanks enter into the fold as Kaneki attempts to escape. Furuta visits Kori in the 24th Ward. Kori wants Ihei and Kishio back, but Furuta reminds him that the probability of bringing them back is close to zero. According to written accounts, the king of the 24th Ward once bestowed life. Furuta is no longer the bureau chief. Yusa then questions Hirako. Are we heading toward the world Investigator Arima envisioned? I don't know, responds Hirako. All hell is breaking loose at the CCG. Some workers inspect the massive Kagune. Takomi frees his wife from imprisonment. Nishiki questions the others about Kaneki's whereabouts. That thing is Kaneki, replies Toka. Shu becomes emotional, screaming that they should have stopped Kaneki when they had the chance. At the CCG, Maruda urges everyone to request assistance from the Self-Defense Force and the police. In the 24th Ward, Toru gets up and checks in on Shin-senpai. He's still alive, despite having his neck crushed by Yomo. Hide then questions Maruda if they should ask the expert. In a flashback, Juzo is knocked off his feet by an earthquake caused by Kaneki. In the now, Juzo bears the responsibility for not finishing off Kaneki, and he will thusly see this through to the end. Mr. Ogura is called in by Maruda to talk about the monster. Hide enters the room, having gained the ability to talk with a device underneath his scarf. Ogura states that Kano lost his mother before college, changing him forever. Maruda determines that Kano may have completed his research and is now set on visiting his mother's grave. Maruda orders a stakeout at Kano's mother's grave. Hide meets up with Akira and Amon. Hide has been watching all the major events from the shadows, in hopes of saving Kaneki. Itari drags along an unconscious Yomo to Toka and Nishiki. She claims that Uda brought him here, since they're friends. Itari states that Kaneki became who he is in effort to help the ghouls. Everyone talks about their love for the king, until... Shut up! Shu tells them all to shut up. Am I the only one who wants him to be happy? He can't read his books, he can't drink coffee, can't talk to his friends, or his beloved wife. He can't even hold his child. And, with any luck, I'd get a bite. A father and child combo meal. Bruh. Ayato wonders what they'll do. At the graveyard, Kuro watches over Kano. Kano claims that the ghoul research can now go to productive ends, rather than building new Quinkes. Kano states that the Washus came from the Middle East. Kano developed many prototypes of the Washu Kakuho and put the core into Furuta. Thus, the cage was broken. Kano has no regrets. He puts a pistol against his head and pulls the trigger. Furuta is informed about Kano's death, yet he seems unconcerned, stating their insurance will pop up soon. Kano's assistants then rush into the CCG with information regarding that monstrous thing. Hide then asks Toka if she wants to dig Kaneki out. Kano's assistants liken Kagune to origami, in that it holds a vast matrix within. If they can remove the main body from within, the Kagune should enter the decay phase. Muruta wonders if they can wait it out. However, the assistants reveal that that would roughly take 2 centuries. Hide then arrives with Akira, Amon, and the other ghouls. Kori announces that Furuta stepped down as the bureau chief, and that his real objective was to bring forth that monstrous thing. Kori doesn't want to work with the ghouls, yet Amon reminds him that the preface of the CCG law states that peace is essential, and that countermeasure personnel must make every effort to maintain it. Psycho volunteers to fight with the ghouls, as the other investigators are hesitant to lend their support. In a surprise event, the ghouls toss their masks into the air. "To hell with pride," yells Toka. Muruta tells Juzo that if he decides to cooperate with the ghouls, then everyone else will be forced to follow suit. "Let's all do it together. It'll be easier that way." The CCG accepts the ghouls' proposal. Toka explains that when the Nagaraji attacked the eyeball of the king finally stopped moving and turned into stone. While working on a computer, Kimi determines that sonar might be effective in locating Kaneki. Nishiki walks in, finally reunited with his girlfriend. Kimi volunteered to be Kano's assistant, since his research is a cut above everyone else. Her dream is for humans and ghouls to live together, without the fear of persecution. Nishiki expresses doubt, yet Kimi reminds him that Kaneki is a human turned into a monster. Hence, ghouls are solving an issue created by humans. Matsuri informs Yuri that the king is a one-eyed ghoul from the Washu family, yet he despises the Washu family. Matsuri has ghoul blood inside of him and wants to take his revenge on the people who killed his father, i.e. the V. The V then arrives, but Takomi drives them off. Toka then suggests that Hide take off his mask, which he does. Toka then wonders if she can repay Kaneki, since he saved her life numerous times. Hide then asks about their wedding, and Toka states that she gave him a ring. With this statement, she then realizes this may be the key to finding Kaneki. Kimi remarks that they may be able to use metal detectors to locate Kaneki. With the dragon's massive size, they'll need a lot of metal detectors. Shu's father calls in a favor with the Prime Minister to approve the disbursement of numerous metal detectors. In the third ward, Misa gets a signal on her metal detector. Yuri commands his squad to get moving. The signal is getting stronger. However, Toru comes flying in to attack Toka. Misa defends her as Toka dodges Toru's attacks. Toru doesn't care that he's getting in the way. In a fit of rage, his Kagune strikes the eye of the monster. The many eyes open up, a lot earlier than expected, as the dragon begins to rumble. Countless humanoid Kagune emerge from the monster and begin attacking the investigators. The ghouls/investigators go on the offensive. Misa tells Yuri about the investigator with the eye patch. Toru and Toka continue their battle, with the Quinks grabbing onto the ghoul's neck. "I'm going to rip off your limbs so you can't move, and watch you die. My husband's waiting for me up there," screams Toka. Shin-senpai kicks down Toka from behind. Toru has a deranged look in his eyes, but Yuri urges him to stop. Yuri urges Toka to escape as he confronts Toru. Toru is infuriated that the CCG is working with the ghouls. Xiao and Higemaru chase Shin-senpai. Shin-senpai can't accept working with ghouls, claiming he's a proud human. After a brief scuffle, Shin-senpai remembers his aunt, and how her body was always covered in scars due to numerous fights with ghouls. Xiao kicks him down, calling him a fool for his current actions. Meanwhile, Yuri and Saiko engage with Toru. After the scuffle, Yuri remembers that Toru's RC level is only 3, meaning he's been suppressing them all this time. But now, it looks like he's releasing them in the form of a terrifying Kagune. In a flashback, Heisei walked in on Toru with his shirt off. In real time, Toru smashes Yuri into the ground with his Kagune. Saiko wonders what Toru wants, but he states it'll all be over soon. Xiao punches Shin-senpai in the face, knocking him down. She stomps her leg onto his chest, informing him that his aunt is helping out with the current mission. Higemaru states that the current mission is all about peace. After mulling it over, Shin-senpai reluctantly joins the cause. Yuri doesn't want to abandon Toru. Toru remarks that Heisei knew he was a biological woman all along, yet he pretended not to know to protect him from being hurt. Toru believes that Kaneki needs him and not Toka. Toru angrily rams his Kagune into Yuri's abdomen. Yuri grabs his arm, refusing to kill him. Toru knocks him back. "I'll just keep going if you don't stop me." Saiko stands in the way of Toru and Yuri, claiming they're family. Toru calls her family a piece of shit as she impales Saiko in the abdomen. "Do it!" screams Saiko. Toru furiously attacks again, but this time, Yuri steps in the way. "Mutsi, if you made your choice, why are you struggling with it?" Toru claims she should have died multiple times in her life, but despite it all, the chateau kept her going, especially the people living inside of it. "I can't fool myself any longer either. I don't deserve to live. I'm sorry." Saiko knocks the knife out of his hand. "I love you, Mutsi," cries Saiko. Yuri grabs the knife and says they'll keep stopping him from committing suicide. Kaneki wakes up in what looks to be a shrine situated in a vast body of water. Kaneki looks for Toka. Well, anybody really. Is this a dream? Kaneki remembers being stopped by Juzo and being absorbed into something. Am I asleep right now? Am I awake? Or am I dead? Kaneki rushes into the water, frantically stating he's gotta go back. The water engulfs him, and the waves become too strong. In the shadowy depths of the water, Kaneki sees multiple corpses floating around. "Where are you going? To kill someone?" questions Rize. Kaneki wants to save everyone and return to the goat's hideout. "No, Kaneki. The dove went after them because you were there." Kaneki wanted to reach a point where ghouls and humans could have a dialogue with one another. Rize compares him to a dictator and shows him a vision of the destroyed goat hideout. Kaneki grabs Rize's hand and hears all the dying words of those who were lost. The people in the water were all killed because of him. While Kaneki trembles, Rize mocks him by laughing. "People died because of you. You shouldn't have done anything from the start. Isn't this what you want?" The dead people they've killed continue filling the ocean. Rize was designed to become the seedbed, a birthing machine if you will. In the end, she was divvied up into small coffins, the Ogai. Rize claims that her and Kaneki are one. She questions Kaneki on how he'll atone for all the dead people. Kaneki just wanted to feel needed by someone. In actuality, he never cared about others, so long as they needed him. Rize and Kaneki are alike, irresponsible egotist. Kaneki wonders if he's subconsciously condemning himself. "Maybe you're my fantasy," remarks Rize. After all this time, Kaneki still can't hate Rize. "I get it now. I had happiness." The sky cracks open as more dead bodies fall into the water. Kaneki will henceforth cross the ocean of blood by accepting his sins. Meanwhile, Toka fiercely searches for Kaneki's body. She eventually comes upon the ring she gave to Kaneki, around an arm with multiple protruding eyes. She continues digging, but is attacked by the Kagune monsters. A humanoid Kagune looks for the finishing blow. However, the Q Squad comes to her rescue. Toru briefly glances at Toka as the ghoul begins digging once more, until she finds Kaneki's body embedded within the monster. Maruta requests that they bring Kaneki's body back for analysis. Yuri grabs Kaneki from the back and begins the extraction. The monstrous Kagune attacks as the dragon attempts to pull him back in. In desperation, Yuri cuts Kaneki loose. The monster then begins to self-destruct. Yuri carries Kaneki wrapped inside of a body bag. Strangely enough, people in the 19th Ward transform into ghouls. The V approaches the dragon, encountering an embryonic structure with a woman inside. The structure erupts, with the girl falling into the hands of a V member. "Good morning, Rize, my adorable dragon," says Furuta. Kaneki has faint brainwaves. He also contains several unidentifiable organs. They thusly want to perform exploratory surgery to learn more about this monster. Hide heads towards Maruta as Toka stays with Kaneki. The goat members arrive with Shu, bringing the king flowers. Toru doesn't want to see Kaneki due to her guilt, but Yuri explains that everyone holds too much in, and he should go see him nonetheless. Saiko, Akira, and Amon then arrive at Kaneki's side. Hirako conveys that Kishio once stated, "All humans will become ghouls." Doctors are dealing with a high number of cases of humans turning into ghouls. Maruta wonders if they are missing something. Miraculously, Kaneki wakes up and greets his friends. Saiko jumps on Kaneki and clenches him tightly. Nishiki squeezes his face, wondering if he could ever die. After Nishiki leaves, Toka gives him a hug. Kaneki finds out that Hide brought together the members of the GOAT and the CCG to help him. Hide's alive?
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Thinks Kaneki. Yuri and Saiko escort Kaneki through the city. The city has been evacuated, and lots of areas don't have electricity. The three then find Ruisawa, who is presumably eating another human. Furuta appears on a TV screen, impersonating a reporter who is about to interview the monster. The Special Defense Force opens fire on the monsters. The Quinks arrive on the scene, but everyone and everything is gone. Furuta explains that the humans supply energy to the oviduct. The oviduct then produces a spawn, and if the humans try to kill the spawn, it releases a toxin that turns them into a ghoul. It turns out that the broadcast is merely a recording. Monsters then appear, with Yuri urging Kaneki to take Saiko back to command. Because Saiko was the only one exposed, she wants to stay and fight while the others escape. Kaneki is paralyzed by indecision. I'm sick of being helpless. Kaneki slices through his adversaries in one go, noticing his hands return to normal. Saiko's RC values have climbed over 1,000, and her condition is worsening. Kimi determines that Kaneki has resistance to the toxin. After years, Kaneki finally meets up with Hide face to face once again. I want to see you. What did I do to you? Says Kaneki. Kaneki remarks that he's tired of being helpless. ROS patients, i.e. ex-humans, are receiving IV nutrition. They've identified 9 oviducts. The poisonous spawn are concentrated around a particular oviduct. The oviduct itself has a large underground opening, the perfect place to hide. Kaneki offers to go to the underground opening, since he's resistant to the poison. The V agents then assault the CCG in the streets. Kaneki wants to protect the building, but Hide interrupts and implores Kaneki to find the source right away. Ayato volunteers to be Kaneki's guide. Make sure you stay safe, says Toka. Yeah, I will, replies Kaneki. Maruta commands everyone else to keep the V occupied while Kaneki and Ayato carry out their recon mission. The clowns watch on. Donato then states they'll use quote-unquote her to buy some time. A bloodbath ensues in the battle with the V. Just then, a mysterious Kaguya descends from the sky and comes crashing in. Kaneki and Ayato are heading for the area under the 19th ward. The CCG is surprised by the Kaguya, since it looks like the owl. The one-eyed owl proceeds to massacre everyone in sight. Kori takes up the lead, asking Kishio to give him strength to take down the one-eyed owl. Hirako, Yusa, and Takomi take on Kaiko. Kaiko insults the investigators for their lack of skill, but the joke's on him as Yusa slices his head in half. Juzo aims to cut off the owl's neck, which he does. Unfortunately, the owl continues its rampage. At the same time, Kaiko's head reattaches itself as he says, "Round 2. The V agents regenerate, calling the poison a blessing. Because half humans have short lifespans, becoming a ghoul brings them back into harmony. The dragon is the arc of life. The V agents are pleased with their transformation as they battle the CCG. Kori pierces through the owl's torso, but it has no effect. Juzo states that the owl blew away his prosthetic leg. The ghouls look to join in and fight the V, but Kaiko blows a whistle and they back out. The owl then causes deadly shockwaves, knocking back several investigators. Ayato and Kaneki enter the cave with gas masks on. They find the stem where the spawn are produced before being sent to the surface. Kimi announces on the radio that these ones are not poisonous, so they need to go deeper. As they climb down, Kaneki feels Rize's presence. They begin to lose Kimi's signal as Ayato struggles with the air quality. Just then, the spawn emerges from their egg-like structures. The two run away. Ayato decides to use his Kagune to blast several away, instructing Kaneki to fulfill his obligation. I'm counting on you, stupid brother. The owl's attacks took over half of their men. Ora and Akira arrive, instructing Maruta to maintain the front line. Elsewhere, Juzo used his Arata armor to protect Kori. The owl's body has multiple protruding crosses. Toru uses his Kagune to restrain the owl's movements. Hide determines that somebody is controlling the owl. Hinami uses her abilities to determine the location of Donato and the other clowns. The clowns realize their cover is blown and get on the move. Amon attacks Donato from the blind side, but the ghoul blocks with his Kagune. At the same time, Yoma confronts Uda. I will stop you, says Yoma. Sure you will, replies Uda. The two friends trade blows with each other, just like old times. Donato goes on the offensive, yet Amon blocks his attack. Amon then transforms his Quinkei into a lance and throws it straight into Donato's shield. Thanks to a drilling-like motion, it breaks through and impales Donato. After this happens, Toru notes that the owl's power is fading. Donato compliments Amon, stating he's not far behind Heisei. However, he's still got some tricks up his sleeve. 2 Donato clones grab Amon from behind and impale him with their Kagunes. Kaneki sneaks up on Furuta, who's surprised he's still alive. Uda and Yomo's fight continues with Itari watching on. Itari thinks that ghouls will never be accepted in this world, hence the clowns play the fools to avoid despair. Uda is having fun, but Yomo doesn't want to kill or be killed. Uda then laughs. I have always wanted to eat you. Let me feel alive, Renji. Sato wants to return something he borrowed from Amon. Amon is getting battered by Donato. Tomo wonders if Sato will save Amon, or if he wants him dead. Itari remarks that Yomo's gonna get eaten. Uda bites down on Yomo, yet Yomo breaks free with his electrical attack. Uda punches Yomo across the rooftops. Yomo jumps towards a lightning rod with Uda giving chase. Yomo redirects his body and kicks Uda straight through the rod. Uda, we ain't kids no more. With his Kakuya destroyed, Uda crashes into the ground. Uda reminisces about their past, claiming today was the most fun he's ever had. In the past, Uda promised to avenge Yomo's sister. He kept trying to get her back from Kishio, but he was never successful. Uda states this world is all about loss. Yomo replies by saying you have to fight for what you care about. Yomo is looking forward to being an uncle for Kaneki and Toka's baby. You can be a problem for me as much as you want, because you're a friend. You got so strong, Renji, replies Uda. Itari remarks that Yomo is the only person who could change Uda. You are my pain. You kill me, you keep me alive. Sato recounts Amon's history, stating that no one hated ghouls or sought justice more than him. Yet, he can't kill Donato, since he's been clinging to him since his childhood, and doing so would make him feel empty. Sato throws a cross necklace at Amon. Why are you still wearing that thing, huh? Why am I still wearing it? This world is wrong. Amon furiously knocks Donato back. Amon acknowledges the evil of Donato, and he wore the necklace to remind himself of those days at the orphanage. This world is wrong, and I too was distorting it. I loved him. I love Donato, thinks Amon as he kills his foster father. Nico steps in as Donato accepts his loss. Donato indulged himself in pleasure and cruelty. He sought meaning in blood and entrails. He admits to being evil. Despite the apocalyptic circumstances, Donato believes the city and its people will return with time. Donato laughs at his fitting ending. Amon remembers Donato's delicious donuts and the fact that he always tucked him in on cold nights. Despite his anger, Amon still treasures those days at the orphanage. Amon acknowledges Donato's atrocities as tears run down his face. But what's wrong with a son loving his father? Donato laughs uncontrollably with tears streaming down his face until his last breath. Elsewhere, Kaneki knocks off Furuta's mask. Furuta wants to talk things out, but Kaneki is not interested.
Why so serious?
Kaneki corners a crying Furuta, looking for the final blow. Unfortunately, this was all part of Furuta's trap. Let me tell you something. I'm actually pretty strong. A brief flashback is shown of the garden, with Kishio recognizing Furuta's talent. In the now, Furuta gashes into Kaneki's neck. The two exchange blows with Kaneki pinning Furuta on the ground. Oh, I'm tingling! Furuta claims they're all just pieces on a board. Let's play. Furuta impales Kaneki from multiple angles. Furuta looks for the finishing blow, but Kaneki catches his sword with his teeth. Kaneki acknowledges Furuta's superior talent. However, I will beat you. I will beat you and save everybody, humans and ghouls. Kaneki throws a barrage of cross-like projectiles towards Furuta. Furuta remembers talking to the chairman when he was younger. The chairman explained that the branch families, Furuta, Arima, and Kaiko, all die around 30 years old. In the now, Kaneki takes Furuta's right arm. Furuta points out all of Kaneki's failures. You will fail again tonight. You will ruin everything. Furuta enters his Kakuya form, with the battle intensifying. Furuta enters a delirious state, proclaiming he wants it all. Furuta then imagines himself with Rize and children before Kaneki delivers the final blow. The bird in the basket. When, oh when, will it come out? Assistant Special Investigator. Do you ever think that everything is meaningless? The owl stops moving, so the CCG focuses their efforts on the V. Suddenly, the apes with the black daubers appear. but it turns out their corpses were turned into humanoid quinkes. Kaiko states that the Washu family were eating corpses of past investigators. Hence, it was the V's job to scrounge up the bodies from the graveyards. The V will use their power to create a new world order. Cory and Hirako defend themselves against the ape and the Black Dauber. Mugen comes in to help them out. Meanwhile, Juzo's squad and the Quink squad take on Kaiko. After he knocks them down, Yomo, Shu, and Nishiki arrive to provide assistance. In a shocking turn of events, Edo regenerates and cuts off Kaiko's right arm. She then proceeds to give him the finger.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
In another surprising turn of events, Naki and the White Suits join in the battle, ready to eliminate the V. Someday, it will all be meaningless, says Furuta. Because of his nihilistic outlook, Furuta henceforth decided to ruin everything. Furuta reminds Kaneki that Rize is responsible for his current disposition. Despite all the hardships he's endured because of Rize, Kaneki was able to make friends and find love. For Kaneki, it's not meaningless. This world isn't wrong, it just is. If I told you that I wanted a normal life, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? Remarks Furuta. Furuta reminisces about his time with Rize inside the garden. In the past, he hoped that things would remain the same, even into their old age. In an instant, Furuta finally succumbs to his wounds. Kimi informs Kaneki that the oviduct has a core, and if he removes it, it should stop producing the poison. Kaneki, promise me you'll come back safe, says Kimi. Kaneki then encounters the dragon's last defenses. If I were to write a book with me as the main character, it would be a tragedy. Kaneki states that everyone is the main character in their own tragedy. Humans are inherently flawed. Taken and be taken. Capture and be captured. Obey and be obeyed. Despite all the hardships and struggles, everything and everyone will be lost. We will be forgotten. Life is tragic. Yet we continue hoping to be beautiful. I choose this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna kill you, Rize. Kaneki stares down at a dead Rize. Suddenly, the oviduct begins to fall apart. Hirako then cuts Kaiko's face to pieces as the V has been defeated. The CCG informs all the officers to treat the wounded. Kaneki searches for Ayato, but starts sinking into the structure. As he sinks into the darkness, he sees a bright light, and it speaks to him. Hey Kaneki, I've been watching you all this time. Saiko tells Toka that she's scared. Toka grabs her hand and says she's scared too. So Saiko, will you wait for me? Sure, replies Saiko. A single butterfly flies off into the sky. Hide recounts the events against the CCG in Furuta, which became known as the Dragon Assault. The poisonous oviduct was destroyed, but the remaining oviducts still produce non-poisonous spawn that attack people. They are called Dragon Orphans. The CCG was disbanded, with the Tokyo Security Committee, TSC, taking its place. The battle continues, even after 6 years. Maruda is the TSC director. Shu heads up the United Front, a ghoul organization that assisted the TSC. Banjo serves as the deputy representative. Matsuri works as a TSC employee. He also changed his last name to Suzuki after separating from his wife. The Washu bloodline, henceforth, ends with him. Ora is the head of the TSC Academy. Mugen became a monk. Hirako declined a position at the academy, and instead took care of his grandparents. Yuri and Yusa Arima are hunting the remaining dragon babies. Haru Shirazu has made a full recovery from her ROS disease. After 3 years of searching, Yuri found Shirazu's body and gave him a proper burial. The entire Juzo squad was transferred to the TSC. Thanks to the advancements of regenerative medicine, Shinohara made a full recovery. Though Shinohara never got involved with the TSC, he assisted the committee from behind the scenes. Naki and Misa got married and had 9 children together. The TSC laboratory developed synthetic meats for ghoul consumption. Hori assisted the TSC, but then resumed casual photography afterwards. Shikori absorbed the cells of the Dragon Orphans, allowing him to become a Kakuya. He then set a record for most casualties by an individual ghoul, and became the most dangerous ghoul since the TSC's inception. Sato went missing after the Dragon Assault. Kuru battled violent ghouls in Europe and possibly the Middle East. Saiko completed her ROS treatment and trained the young Qs with Yuri. Toru was promoted to a special investigator in the CCG's regional branch. Ayato and Hinami joined the United Front, with the latter teaching orphan ghouls how to read and write. They're also together as a couple. Takomi and Yokiro had a child. Iowa recovered from his neck injury. Seriously, how did this guy recover? This guy got stabbed right in the neck. Anyway, Yoma allows his niece to braid his hair. Uda continues to try to kill Yoma in his free time. Itari harbors feelings for Uda, but she may have never told him about it. Toka works in the kitchen with the old gang stopping by to see her daughter. Seiko then hands an apple to Toka. "Hey guys," says Kaneki as he walks in. Ayato saved Kaneki from the dragon's fluids. Kaneki has henceforth helped the TSC and the United Front. Kaneki then tells Hide he's not sure if the world has changed for the better or for the worse. "You don't want to be helpless, right? How many times are you going to say that?" Hide lived in an orphanage after his ghoul investigator father died. Hide would travel the world to help spread the peace efforts of the TSC. He and Kaneki remain best friends for the rest of their lives. For those who are interested, Ken Kaneki's daughter is named Ichika Kaneki. She's a natural half-ghoul and can eat human food. And this officially ends the 7-year run of Sui Ishida's Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul Re. The original series was the 4th best-selling manga in Japan in 2014, with 6.9 million copies sold. The sequel, Tokyo Ghoul Re, was the 5th best-selling manga in 2017, with 5.3 million copies sold. And as of March of 2019, the combined series has 44 million copies in print. And due to the immense popularity, Tokyo Ghoul received an anime adaptation. Well, a couple of anime adaptations that did fairly well in the first season, but fell apart in latter seasons. This was because season 2 diverged from the manga, and Re was just a cluster of skipped material, mediocre to bad animation, and just overall a big mess. In fact, Re probably didn't make a lot of sense if you didn't read the manga beforehand. But of course, I know there's still fans of the anime out there as well, so I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But with that, guys, we officially end the Tokyo Ghoul timeline series. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.